Okay, let's wait for some people to start jumping on. Okay, looks like we have some numbers coming in. Well, hello, Kentucky. Colorado. You better be at the ready in Colorado. St. Cloud down the road, Oklahoma, Ohio. Tulsa, thank you for watching every night. I appreciate it. Yeah. Someone noticed the shirt. Kentucky, Ohio, Minnesota, Canada, Texas, California, Anchorage, Alaska, Georgia Peach. Hello, Brenda. Everyone's ready. Everyone's jumping on. So I will tell you, first of all, good evening, Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network. Welcome, your source for health, freedom, and knowledge. And I will tell you that I'm wearing a weird shirt tonight. So I grew up watching professional wrestling. I haven't watched it much recently because of everything going on, but I still had watched it for the marketing. And I will tell you, if you want to know how all this stuff works behind the scenes, go watch wrestling, because that's where they tell you stories, and the storyline always changes. And keep in mind, Vince McMahon, good friends with President Trump. Linda McMahon, who is one of the executives at WWE, actually is, I think, still in charge of the Small Business Association for President Trump. So my wrestling brought me back around to the political world and what's going on today, because it's all about storytelling. Unfortunately, the storytelling right now is getting really crazy out. So let me tell you a story from earlier today that was interesting to me. So I had to do some math on this one. I was talking to a very lovely individual. I want to say this afternoon, but it could have been this morning. The whole day was so busy, just running around. But a good busy. And I was on the phone with someone, and their father had passed away, I believe, a couple years ago. And obviously very sorry for them that the father passing away. And they happen to be a veteran, and was involved in one of the wars, and I don't recall off the top of my head. But the point was that I said I was very sorry, and then I thought about it, that my grandfather, who I remember sitting down in front of a television on the weekends with my grandfather on Friday night, even when I was in college, when I could have been going outside or out to the club or to the bar or whatever when I was in college, when I could have done that. I remember on Friday nights hanging out with my grandfather, and at the time watching Fox News, because my grandfather is a very conservative individual, and I basically grew up watching politics in the news with my grandfather. That's how I actually am. How I do this stuff today is not because I stumbled upon news and politics and everything myself. I learned it through watching him. Now, my political views have changed a lot since then, and my awakeness has changed since then. But the point is that this person had lost their father, who was a veteran, and I said, I'm sorry that that's happened, but I'll be honest with you. Although it's been tough for this person, I said, I think it actually would have been tougher on the father if he was still here right now, because I have a feeling veterans right now are having a very tough time watching what is happening in our country, because of all that they put on the line to do their best to take care of us. And as I thought about the math, my grandfather passed away at 72 from pancreatic cancer, and I was with him up till the day he died. And if my grandfather would have been, I think, around somewhere between 90 and 92, if I remember correctly, today. And I'm actually, in a way, glad that my grandfather is not here for this, because he's a veteran of the Korean War, and this would not, what we're living in right now is not something that he would have handled well. Um, just because it's, I'm not saying that war is good, or I'm not saying that we should have been in any particular war, whether it was Vietnam, Korean, World War I, World War II. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that no matter what, a country should always have a national defense, and so our military should always have our full support, because they're not always the ones making the calls on where to go to war. So, for example, I disagreed wholeheartedly with us being in the Middle East. But that doesn't mean I don't support our troops being wherever they are, doing whatever they need to do, because our troops do it for the right reason. Unfortunately, you have this ruling class at the top that does things that we do not like them doing, like going to war, tearing down countries, killing innocent civilians across the world. So, although I wish my grandfather was here for many reasons, I'm glad he's not to have seen what is going on right now, because this would have put a lot of stress and strain on him, and I'm sure it's putting stress and strain on other veterans to see what is happening right now. So, as much as I didn't like the person losing their father, and they actually agreed that it's probably better that they weren't here to see what is happening. So, if you have veterans out there right now who are older, do your best to be by their side. Do your best to let them talk to you and get anything off their chest that they want to talk about right now, because we are in, no matter what happens, whether Q is 100% legit and this all goes the way we want to, or something bad that goes down that isn't supposed to go down, doesn't matter. So be there with them to talk them through this, or even just listen to what they have to say, because one, they're full of education, but two, they might have some things they need to get off their chest with what's going on right now. And do me a favor, keep them away from as much news as possible, because, I mean, the next thing I'm going to talk about is mutiny. And I can't even believe that I'm talking about that. And right before I came on, I was eating dinner with my wife, and I told her what I'm going to show you now. And some of you may have heard this or not heard this with General Mattis or whatever. And I'm going to show you a video. The fact that she says, well, what happened then? And I go, I don't even know. I like, this is uncharted territory for even me. I know what mutiny is, but it's not like we've ever lived through this. I have no clue what would happen. And then she says, what are the repercussions? Like, what do they do? What do they take orders from somebody else? What happens? And I go, I don't know, because obviously this is something we never thought we would be a part of. And even though I'm glad that there's a lot of veterans not here to have to watch this go down, I guess I'm glad that we are here to see this go down, and maybe we can do anything possible we can do to make this go right, and to support as much as humanly possible our troops in this situation. Okay, so let me do this. I'm going to show you the video now. If you don't know, Dan Bongino talked about this today for a little bit, and I'm a big Bongino fan. But let me take you to the video so we can actually talk about this. Then I'm going to take you a little bit through what mutiny is, so you know. And then I'll be honest with you, I just learned about this afternoon because I was busy running all day. I'm going to have to do some more research on it, but it won't be tonight necessarily. So, okay, let me go over to here. Okay, let me take you into the video.
Every right to talk about the Insurrection Act in the U.S. military. What I'm hearing from people is that there are some military brass. This is uncomfortable for me to talk about, but you need to hear it because you need to be warned. And some civilian representatives of the military, undersecretary types and others, who are organizing together and talking about how they're going to either talk the president out of or just simply not obey his orders if the president, God forbid, and again, as I said, it would be a very bad idea now, but if we were to lose an American city using the U.S. military, think about what I just told you. Folks, I've been doing this now. This is episode 1266. Joe's been there with me from episode 1. My wife's been married to me from episode 1. I don't think I've ever told you something as serious as what I just told you. These are not second-rate garbage sources. These are legitimate, real people who are genuinely concerned that some upper-level people in our military are openly talking about defying the President of the United States. That's got a name. It's called a mutiny. What is this, Venezuela? You don't like the president's decisions about his constitutional authority to use our military to suppress an emergency situation? Then there's a solution for that. It's called an election. It'll be here in November. Not here to tell you who to vote for. You know who I'm voting for. I've been a supporter of the president, and I'll continue to. My vote's not a secret. I'm not telling you who to vote for. But the mere suggestion that the president of the United States is no longer the commander-in-chief and some band of military insiders is somehow, the president had every right to talk about the...
So there's Dan Bongino, and obviously he knows some stuff. And I will tell you, as I watched that, so that's probably about the second or third time I've watched that tonight. You can see it in his eyes. He's not BSing anybody. He actually has concern in his eyes. Now, I don't necessarily think the Dan Bonginos of the world, maybe he does, maybe he knows about the Q situation, but he's coming strictly from a Secret Service and military background. So that's how he has to view it, because I don't know how inside he is at this point, although obviously he has some inside sources, but you can tell he's legitimately concerned. You can see it in his eyes, okay? You can literally see it in his eyes, and when you do TV for a long period of time, you do podcasting for a long period of time, yeah, you can be dramatic, but he doesn't BS people in his podcast. I mean, Dan Bongino is pretty much straightforward as it is, to the point where even when he goes on Fox News, he doesn't mess around. Now, I don't have a video, but earlier I saw a video of a police chief talking to inside all of his men and women, and talking about how at this point right now the public considers them racist just because of the uniform that they have on. Now, that's what anarchy is. Anarchy wants no rules. Now, I got to make a point about these anarchists and what they're doing with the riots. Now, I'm going to switch gears for a second to talk about, I'm going to play devil's advocate. So that's what I'm going to do regarding these anarchists and with police. Now, there are some other people out there of note, high-profile podcasts, high-profile news people who are talking about, like, and I don't even like saying this word, but like the word getting thrown around and spray painted on police cars is pigs. Using that word for police, which is a completely derogatory statement for authorities. Now, anarchists believe that any authority, which police would be an authority, are basically evil because they're funded by a government source, right? So whether you're police, you're a high-end police, in inner cities where it's, you have a hierarchy, or it's like a community local town police where you have less officers, but there's a smaller hierarchy, right? So I understand what anarchists are saying by the fact that they don't like an authority coming from government, but they're wrong in the fact that they're generalizing the entire situation and saying, okay, well, one police officer might be bad, or one lieutenant, or one, and I don't know the hierarchy what they call them, so I'll just say lieutenants. Just because you have one here or a group here or a group there or groups in different cities that might be corrupt and criminal, obviously doesn't mean that police in general are corrupt and criminal, because I would venture to guess that 95+%, and I don't have a percent, I don't know, but 95+% are there to serve you, the public. Right? And most of them, just like on the pyramid, most of them don't know sometimes that a top part of it is corrupt. So to say that they're all corrupt and they're trying to paint that any official in public, like a police officer, like EMTs, like fire, whatever it is, are all corrupt because they're part of the system because of government. Well, guess what? At the end of the day, you have to have governments at certain levels. Unless you're all going to just go live out in the woods and everyone does their own thing, that's just not ever going to happen. That's never happened in the history of our civilization. We've always built groups. We've always built tribes. That's how we are. We're tribal people. And what they're thinking and talking about is completely insane. And guess what? You're going to always have local community or city governments. You're always going to have higher governments at a higher level. The point is, that's why the U.S. Constitution, that's why the Declaration of Independence, that's why our founding documents are created, was because even the founders looked at it and said, we do need a form of government. We do need a form of rules and laws because we're going to have a population and people can't just run wild. It doesn't work that way. Okay? So the whole point, though, is we should have limited government at every level, whether it's city, all the way up to the top, and they should be not corrupt. So yes, you can have your police force, you can have your fire force, you can have your EMTs, you can have all your services, right? Now, it just means the money should go towards the correct purposes and there should be no corruption. And if there is corruption, it should be removed immediately. But to say, like an anarchist says, that the whole system needs to be destroyed overnight, I just don't think that's sane. I don't think that's real. I don't think that's even okay. Right? So, yes, there are bad police. There are also bad lawyers. There are also bad chiropractors. There's also bad medical doctors. There's also bad attorneys. There's also bad cashiers. There's also bad bricklayers. There's also bad anything. There's bad in every industry because you're always gonna have potentially corruption at some level because welcome to man. But this was completely insane. And now I'm going to take you over to, mutiny, an open rebellion against the proper authorities, especially by soldiers or sailors against their officers. Okay. Refuse to obey the orders of a person in authority. So the president is the commander in chief, right? Now, this is the problem with the mutiny. There's no reason for it. The president has done nothing to this point. I could see a mutiny if you have a corrupt person or a corrupt dictator running the show and the military stands up and says, no, this is wrong, and you take them down. I get it. I think they almost were going to do that to President Obama, but they didn't go that route. But when you have a leader who is making correct moves, whether you like the speed of it, how fast it is, how slow it is or not, it doesn't matter. Right? He hasn't done anything corrupt. He hasn't done anything criminal. He is making moves the best he can make the move. So mutiny would not come from a legitimate source in the fact that they believe the president is wrong. Mutiny is coming from the deep state, the cabal. And I wouldn't doubt if someone like a General Mattis could be part of it. Barack Obama could be part of it. Hillary Clinton could be part of it. The shadow presidency could be part of it. The elite would be part of it. The bankers. And even all the way up at the top of the pyramid. The banks. All of it could be the ones actually causing the mutiny, if there is a mutiny. Now, keep in mind also, I will say this is a disclaimer. Q said there could be upwards of 80% disinformation. We don't know. Isn't this interesting that this is all happening on a full moon, by the way? It's complete and utter chaos. So I'll go into, after I go over the next point, because I'm gonna try to keep this brief, even though I never do. I'm gonna go over what we need to do, because yes, we need to take this deadly serious, but we can't stop our lives. We can't go into fear. If you're in fear right now, get out of fear. If you're stressed right now, get out of stress. This is where minerals come in. Minerals are important. I've talked to Morley about it. You've heard me talk about it. Your magnesium, your copper, keep your iron low. Right now is high stress. You're burning magnesium like it's going out of style. You need to keep the minerals in you. If you need help with that, let me know, okay? At this point, I will do anything I can to keep you guys ready to go. But you can't, when you burn the minerals down in your brain, your adrenals, your cells, when you burn the minerals from high stress, you can get depressed easier. Now is the time to be taking your minerals, be putting some good, really good quality red meat in you. Get your salt in you. Get your Celtic Himalayan salt in you. It's all trace minerals. You need that in you, okay? Some people are asking me, like, how much? Just start taking it. You're not going to overdose on minerals, okay? This whole idea that we're like, remember, that's like CDC, WHO. That's like big pharma funded information. Now, I'm not going to say go take a whole bottle of something. That's not right either. But take a few here, take a few there. Go by your bottle. Go with what the bottle said. If you're a patient of mine, go with what I tell you. But other than that, go by the bottle. Maybe take a little extra. With a mineral, you're not going to overdose. What your body will do, if it doesn't need it, it will actually just urinate it out of the body. Okay? So make sure you're getting your minerals because of the stress. Stress burns minerals very quickly. Okay? Just need you to know that. Now, I'm going to show you the Q drops from tonight, okay? I'm going to go through a couple of them. I'm just now reading them tonight, so I'm going to take you through one very important one because I think that's the biggest one. So let's go over to this, okay? All right, I'm going to make this a little bigger because I know actually it's pretty big already. So, okay. So this is where it started. Where did it start today? So it started actually there was a lot more today than I thought about. I haven't been looking at this all day today. I was like so slammed that I didn't have a lot of time to check it out. So clearly, started here. Statistics. Okay, here's a graph. They're talking about trends. So there you go. This is a trend. I'm not going to go into that because I didn't read it, and I don't want to sound like an idiot trying to read something I don't have information on right now. Soros, Trump will disappear in 2020 or even sooner. That was where Soros actually said that. Demons continue to serve the devil in his attempt to lead the world away from God and into sin. Now, this is from Trump. Great job last night at the White House by the U.S. Secret Service. They were not only totally professional, but very cool. I was inside, watched every move, and couldn't have felt more safe. They let the protesters scream and rant as much as they wanted, but whenever someone, and he goes down through that whole thing, okay? What happens if a breach occurs at the White House? Attempts to capture a horrifying moment, okay? So this goes through. POTUS warning meant to push rational thought, peaceful protesters, okay? Previously coordinated anarchists, push to victory, breach. So they talk about breach. Go into those Twitter feeds if you want to, okay? This is more on the breach. I really want to get to the one that I think most everyone is concerned about, which honestly is up here. So you guys can read through all those. The funny part is Bill Clinton also took a nice photo op in front of the church with his Bible. So operators are standing by. What does that mean? I don't know. I saw some memes today of maybe Hillary Clinton actually taking him out because he knows too much. And then something about Arkansas news coming out. Keep in mind, Hillary and Bill Clinton ran drug operations out of Arkansas when he was governor. Okay. Now, these are the ones I want to get to. Okay. those loyal to our constitutional republic and our command structure, those loyal to the office of the president and the will of the people, those who swore an oath to protect and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic, those good people who serve proudly for America. Okay, now this is the one I want to get to right here. Okay, emergency action message. Now this is what we've been talking about potentially. Okay, red number 1, POTUS Twitter removal. Red number 2, Central Communications blackout. Red number 3, classified movement Pelosi or Pence. Red 4, movement of military assets, 10th Mountain 1st, Marine, CPSD, Marine QVIR. I don't know what those mean. I saw something right before I came on here, but I have to go study it because I didn't have time to look at it. To central locations under guise of citizen riot control. Red 5, National Military Command Center. Red 6, Secretary of Defense. And then it goes on. Now, if POTUS is removed from Twitter, I see all hell breaking loose because, remember, the executive order. This is all playing out exactly as Q has been saying. We just don't know the dates and the times. Now, I have also read that Pence is not a good guy. That's what I read. That Pence was actually working with Paul Ryan to sneak in, possibly during a coup of President Trump. Have you noticed that Paul Ryan has not been on the scene in a long time and he walked away from office? So think about that. Very important to know. Okay, now I did not go into the last stuff here, so I'm not going to go diving deep into these because I haven't had time to study them. I have some other stuff to show you, and I'll be probably looking this over as we go through the weekend, and I'll bring as much as we possibly can, okay? So, let me go back. I'm not flustered. I'm trying to understand this and break this down because we are coming to our fork in the road. Fork in the road is Q is exactly correct, and this all goes really well, or we go to martial law, which even Q says martial law is coming. Martial law, as I said last night, is not something that you just take lightly. And I don't even know how it plays out, to be honest with you guys. I don't even know what to tell you about how martial law would play out. It's not something I want to see. Even as this storyline rolls out, I do not want to see martial law. It's not something we want to see. Constitutional rights go out the door. Very different. Okay? So, we need to figure out what's happening. And I don't know, according to this, is Pence on the out? Is Pence not? I mean, what happens? We have July 4th coming up. We're a month away from July 4th. And President Trump plans on being at Mount Rushmore. I will tell you, I can't imagine him being at Mount Rushmore to do whatever he's going to do with Antifa, anarchists, and rioters running around the country. And I don't think that's just going to... Now that this is all blowing up, I don't know that this is just going to stop in the next month. So, welcome to the show. Unfortunately, none of us want this to be a show because we take this seriously and this is our country and we are concerned for safety. So, you need to be continuing to protect yourself, both health-wise, but also the full armor of God. Get yourself spiritually ready, mentally and spiritually ready to handle all of this going down. Okay? Now, I'm talking quietly and soft tonight and slow because this is completely concerning. But I'm still focusing on the positive. It's just getting real. Do you guys feel it getting real? We've talked about this for a couple months now, but We're in the no bullshit zone. Like, this is game on, no matter what, one way or the other. The good thing is, I haven't heard crap about vaccines lately, and I don't know that the COVID vaccine, the first 3 failed. So if they go to martial law, I don't necessarily see them coming around with vaccines because I don't think they have them. So, as everyone says, trust the plan. That's what we have to do right now. We have to trust the plan, but we have to stay aware at all times. Physically, mentally, spiritually aware at all times. That is what we must do. Stay positive. We will come through this. But I want you to know, be focused because this is game time. I mean, I don't see how this doesn't go down as this gets hotter and hotter and hotter. Okay? Now, I'm going to read something to you that actually President Trump tweeted this evening. And it was a letter from a retired Marine and superstar lawyer, John Dowd. And he says it would be interest to the American people to read. I'm going to read it for you, okay? I'm not going to show it to you. I'll just read it to you. It's pretty easy. There's some interesting words in here. I want you to listen to the words that I say when I read this. Jim, I slept on your statement and woke up appalled and upset. You lost me. Never dreamed you would let a bunch of hack politicians use your good name and reputation earned with the blood and guts of Marines. You did what you said you would, engage in this discourse. Marines keep their word. I'm assuming this is Mattis. The phony protesters near Lafayette Park were not peaceful and are not real. They are terrorists using idle, hate-filled students to burn and destroy. They were abusing and disrespecting the police when the police were preparing the area for the 1900 curfew. Okay, 7 o'clock. Jim, this is the new nihilism. See Dan Henninger in the Wall Street Journal today. Marines support the police in harm's way. Did you forget that President Bush used active duty Marines to quell the riots in LA? President Trump has countless cities and some snowflake governors and mayors wedding themselves in the use of force to protect innocent lives and property. The Attorney General of Massachusetts thinks burning property is good protest. 3 more policemen were stabbed and shot in New York City last night. Think about it. Should he be upset about the obvious failure of leadership? Where are you, Jim? Marines go to fight. No one divided this country more than Obama. He abandoned our black brothers and sisters. He gave guns to cartels. He apologized for our precious sacrifice and generosity overseas. You remember, he fired you. President Trump has done more to help our minority brothers and sisters in 3 years than anyone in the last 50. Ask the black pastors. Ask the leaders of the black colleges and universities. He got them funded. Ask them about the prison reform which ended the draconian sentences imposed on young black men by the laws enacted by Biden and his hacks. You need to bone up on your homework and stop listening to Uncle Leon, whoever that is. I understand you had to stick to the assigned narrative, which did not include 3 years of corrupt investigation and evidence to destroy this president, his office, and his lawful free election. Nancy has no tolerance for dissent in the ranks, including those with stars. You said nothing of the ugly, hate-filled, disgraceful comments of Pelosi, Schumer, Perez, and other Democrat hacks defaming the president and his office. You said nothing of the unlawful sanctuary cities and the unlawful release of hoodlums. You said nothing of the resistance movement to paralyze our courts and our government operations. You said nothing of the obstruction and subversion of our immigration laws. You said nothing of MS-13 killers and the drug cartels who own huge sections of our major cities. Jim, do you think that hateful rhetoric and those corrupt actions were inspiring and unifying? Do you think the DIs at Paris Island would find such behavior as unifying? Maybe your problem is a lot deeper. Perhaps you ought to explain how and why you and John Allen as CG Central Command did not engage and take out Iranian Major General Soleimani, who roamed the Middle East and wreaked havoc and death of our American boys with his infamous IEDs. Why did it take President Trump to have the instincts and balls to take him out? Of course, the objection, the genius is in the Pentagon. Looks like the Persian mullahs were a one-horse sleigh and Trump nailed the horse forever. It has been quiet ever since. Perhaps your anger is born of embarrassment for your own failure as the leader of Central Command. Did you applaud when the president recognized the central problem in the Middle East? Did you applaud the president when he wanted to save American lives by bringing them home in one piece? That was John Dowd to James Mattis. That is intense. And then the president retweeted that. You can go look at it. He retweeted it 3 hours ago. Okay? So, all hell is breaking loose in Washington. And apparently the military. So, again, that letter is on Twitter. You can go to Twitter. President Trump tweeted that out 3 hours ago. You can literally bring it right up and look at it. And he wants American people to read it. So he's actually saying, the tweet was, I thought this letter from respected retired Marine and superstar lawyer John Dowd would be of interest to the American people. Read it. So I'd go read it, okay? Go read it. Sound good? All right. I want to talk to you, and I'm not going to go through this super in depth because I just got this before I came up, but I wanted to, and I'm going over this for a reason because the person who tweeted it is my name, but it's not me. This actually is regarding George Floyd, which, by the way, I tweeted out today. This was an entire Freemason acted out false flag. I do not know how the whole thing is done. I do not know every little detail of how it works. However, that's what it is. I don't know if Floyd is still alive. I don't know if he's been sacrificed because that's what they do a lot of times. But he was a Mason. I believe the cop was a Mason. A lot of cops are Masons. And I'm not beating up all Masons, by the way. I know there's Masons that go up to 3rd degree and higher, and not all of them are bad. They're good people. Most of them are doing good things for their community. So I'm not saying that. However, when you get to the top of the pyramid, when you're a 33-degree Freemason, from my understanding, they worship Lucifer and they're not on the good side. Okay, that's my understanding of it. I don't know all the details, so if you're a Mason, you can educate me. However, Floyd had there was this viewing today, closed casket, so you're not allowed to see. It's in a gold casket. And then all of the dignitaries of the cabal show up. Interesting. So wait a second. Can you explain to me how we kill upwards of 500,000, 750,000, 1 million babies every single year through abortion? How do we kill upwards of 1 million babies through abortion every single damn year and not one of them gets a memorial service to mourn their intentional passing, but yet we can have a memorial service for some random guy on the street? Why? Because it's a show. That's exactly what it is. This is all a show. Symbolism will be their downfall. Why? Because there's symbols all over it. Why do you think there's bricks set up in the streets? Welcome to Masonry. That's what they're doing. But I'm pretty pissed because I'm tired of babies being killed every single day, and we don't have memorial services for precious children from the Creator. And I am pro-life for many reasons. One, because of my faith and belief in God. But two, because I'm a physician and I know how biology works. I know how physiology works. And you have life upon conception when you have those little cells divide. All right? So, I'm tired of everyone getting a memorial when we have children that we should be thinking about and lifting up. And we should be lowering the death rate and lowering the abortion rate. And that is not, I'm gonna get the person who comes in and says, what about rape and everything else? I'm not even going down that road. You're talking about a very small percentage that is completely not even a legitimate argument. Okay. Now I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this because I'm actually, quite humored by. So when you look at this, this is actually one of the reasons I actually posted this, or I'm showing you this, is when you look at it, look who tweeted this first, okay? So The tweeter is apparently real Jason Dean, who is, this is not me, okay? But they have a nice little handle there. I'm actually gonna follow them because I gotta follow my own name, right? It's fantastic, okay? So yes, this is tweeted by some random Jason Dean out there. But let's look into the thread that he put, okay? This is regarding the entire George Floyd scenario, all right? Here we go. This dig began when I posted these pictures without checking. It's supposedly of George Floyd being depicted in The Simpsons 20 years ago. Turns out the top one is a fake. What did it mean? I began running the numbers, okay? Now, this was posted, okay, some time ago. This is not real. Okay, so I saw this and I thought it was legit, but this is not real. This is not real. This is fake, okay, guys? If you saw this meme out there, it's not real, okay? This was photoshopped. All right, so this was also not real. This is part of the thing. This is why I'm showing you this, okay? Some people believe numbers in geometry and physically create reality. This is what the elite play with. They go to great lengths to weave numbers, shapes, and meaning into every action. It is irrelevant what you believe. What's important is what people with unlimited resources and power and time on their hands believe. This person looked at Chief Wiggum. He is a number 3, constructed of 111. Curious. 3 is an important number as it is the root of 9. Now, you guys, I've tweeted this before. I've tweeted this, okay? 369. Tesla talks about 369. If you understand 369, you understand the secrets of the universe, okay? So 3 is an important number as it is the root of 9. This aroused my curiosity. Let's take a simple overview of what the numbers mean to someone practicing occult arts. So Chief Wiggum, Q to code, is 1113. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go through this as quick as I can. You guys can look at it on your own. You see who tweeted it, so you can go there and find it, okay? Why is 3 important? 3 is the first perfect number. It is what is created when 2 people combine forces to create something, as in male unites with female to create a third entity, baby, or Father, Son, Holy Ghost, or 3 planes that create our dimension. So you can click on all this stuff. This goes through what it is, okay? And guys, if religiously you're afraid of this stuff because it doesn't meet, just go through it. It's not about religion. It's about physics. It's about how the planet, how everything works, okay? So I'm not going to read all this. You can go through it. I'm just going to go through the actual tweets for a little bit. 3 is important in occult ceremonies. It represents the 3 names of the Masonic Illuminati God as shown below. Remember, there were 3 police officers. Police are often referred to as men of Babylon, Crowley, okay? So right here, 3. So click through all these. I'm not going to go through all of them, but here you go. There's the 3 for the Illuminati. So what are the other sacred numbers? 6 is the double of the perfect number 3 and represents the soul. It is revered by occultists as the only number needed to achieve everything needed. This is the cabal working. So 6 points, 6 mini triangles, 6-sided polygon. Okay, there you go. I'm sure many of you understand this. 7 represents the center of everything, the eye of the storm, the hub of the vortex, and the invisible spirit of it all. It is a perfection of accomplishment where in the Bible God rested and inspected his work. Okay. 9 is the cube of the perfect number 3. It's exceptional because it multiplies perfection by itself. Inverted, it reduces into the number of 6 by 3. So you can see how occult numbers are reduced, added, multiplied, etc. For calculations, I use Q to code from the App Store. So he goes through all this stuff. You can go through this. I'm not going to take you all through this part. Go look at it for yourself. This is how the cabal works. This is why we say symbolism. Okay. Symbolism will be their downfall. You're looking at it. 11 is the number of destruction of enemies to achieve one's own ends, as in the Twin Towers and the V for victory hand sign. Okay. So I'm just going to click on these things really quick. Okay, 9/11. Makes sense? Good. 13 is the number of betrayal, rebellion, sacrifice, rebirth, as 6 plus 7, the sum of perfection of God and man. Okay. I'm going to go faster because you can look through all this stuff. I want to get to the other parts, okay? George Floyd allegedly tried to pass a $20 note for cigarettes. He was confronted but refused to give the cigs back in exchange for the $20. Remember, POTUS objecting to putting Harriet Tubman on the new note. Maybe he didn't like the numbers. Okay? They're playing with the numbers. The police were then called. They arrived 17 minutes later. Were they using Q's number? This was unusual since the store owner said police rarely turned up when he had called in the past. A detailed account of the incident can be seen here, so you can go there. There are two named buildings in the George Floyd incident. One is Cup Foods, a grocery store, and the other is Dragon Walk, a Chinese takeaway. We are told George Floyd died in the street between these two stores. If we run the numbers, Cup equals 4, Foods equals 5, Cup Foods equals 9. And guys, if you think this is crazy, trust me, it's not. This is how they operate. Dragon Walk 9, Dragon 5, Walk 4. They even form a V-shaped here, okay? So in essence, the two stores are numerical reflections of each other. If you put them together, they also equal 9, giving a triangular 999. If you think mirror, it's 666. Okay? But where exactly did George Floyd die? He was moved to the center of Chicago Avenue and East 38th Street in front of Cup Foods. Chicago Avenue 6, East 38th Street 11, East 38th Street 9. So you're going to have to go through this, okay? I'm not saying I'm going to take you all through it, but if you want to understand how some of this works, you'll have to go through it. I was curious as to what the latitude and longitude might reveal, so I consulted Google Earth. The exact spot was almost exactly on 93, 15, 45 west in between. Okay, you can look at those numbers. He's breaking it down for you. Check those coordinates. Okay, he puts those coordinates in. It happened between two longitudes, so let's run them together. Like, this is how deep they go. Okay, he put all the coordinates in. 4 plus 5 equals 9. Wouldn't you agree there's some strange coincidences happening here with numbers? I dug deeper. Although the victim was held down and appeared to be suffocated to death at 8:25 p.m., 2025 on police time when he stopped breathing, an ambulance arrived and took him to the hospital. Fox 9 said that George Floyd was pronounced dead at 9:25 p.m. on the 25th of May, 2020. You put all those numbers in. Okay, hang on. 4554, wasn't that the same as Cup Foods and Dragon Walk? Oh, and George was 45. What was that date again? 525 equals 12 equals 3. Oh yeah, 52520 equals 7. The number for perfection. Someone must have thought they were going to do a good job. So, George died twice. He died the first time at 8:25. There's the numbers. 6. Died the second time equals 9. And yes, this all makes sense if you understand their numbers. The actual time of death is a numerically synchronous number for a sacrificial offering. However, the official time has many more combinations of 3, 6, and 9 and incorporates 666, the sacred occult numbers through which reality can be manipulated. So, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. You guys can go through this whole thing, but this goes into the vehicle, okay? More numbers, more information on how this works with the V, down into masonry, which they were both masons, down into the people, okay? He does more numbers. Here is when George stopped breathing. Like, they decoded this whole thing, okay? It's completely insane. And this is how they work, okay? So I think that's the last one. 35 is the last one. Beyond the unlikely of events of a coincidence, I can only draw this conclusion. Either this event was meticulously planned using computer algorithms or a room full of evil Illuminati nerds, probably both, or our reality and fate is truly governed by numbers and symbols. So, I wanted to show you that. It's in depth. I obviously didn't go through as much detail as I could have, but I don't want to be here all night doing it because I could spend forever doing it. But don't think this isn't how the world works. They did the same thing with 9/11. If you Google or DuckDuckGo Geometria and 9/11, you will find it all there. This is how it works. This is what they do. So, you need to be aware because symbolism is their downfall. Okay? Good. That's that. Now, before I head out tonight, really quick, So I don't need to say this, but I thought that I wanted to say this is that um, I am very sorry to everyone out there. The reason I say that is I didn't do anything wrong necessarily, but it's more the fact that I am sorry that we have not worked harder. When I say we, I'm talking about every doctor out there, every practitioner out there. I I'm gonna I'll call out my own industry right now. I'm not gonna call out medical doctors necessarily because they're their own people, but I'll call out my own industry. We have approximately somewhere between 50,000 and 60,000 chiropractors out there, licensed, ready to go, right? And I am sorry that there aren't 60,000 chiropractors screaming from the rooftops on the dangers of vaccines. You have myself, you have the Demosses of the world, you have the Glowackies of the world, you have, and I'm not going to go through a billion names tonight, but you get what I'm saying is that we know our whole profession knows the truth. Now, there's a handful of people out there who really like in my industry that they have blinders on, and that happens everywhere. But I will say, 95% or more, probably random number, know full well what vaccines do to the human body. So I'm saying sorry because I've known this for 10 plus years. They've known this for decades. Anybody in natural health has known this for decades or longer. Medical doctors know this. And I'm sorry because it's unbelievable to me that we allowed autism to go from not even a thing to 1 in 20,000 down to now like 1 in 36. And I have screamed for the last 10 years, but I don't scream enough. And I say this because I work with a lot of autistic kids, both in office and by the phone. And we should be more vocal because, quite honestly, last night I did the interview with Dr. Judy, and I asked her a question legitimately, and I asked her a question because I wanted a reaction, but I also wanted to know her legitimate, honest answer. Is my understanding from day one is that vaccines are population control. That's what they are. There is not a need. Now, when I say vaccine, I'm not talking about her definition of vaccine because, yes, Dr. Judy talking about the way she talked about it last night is legitimate. I'm talking about the cabal, deep state medical vaccination. That is a population control mechanism from the very beginning. And there's a lot of us out there as chiropractors, as natural health practitioners. I can't say the same for medical doctors. There are a lot of people out there in my profession that do not vaccinate their kids, but yet they won't say a word on camera, on a microphone, in public at all because they are scared to death that something could happen to them. And that is solely based in fear because we unfortunately have a lot of cowards who will do it for themselves, but they won't speak up for everyone out there that I'm talking to now. And that is dead wrong. So I am sorry, not because I did it to you or did it to your child. I am sorry because I believe when you have knowledge and when you know something, it is your duty to speak about it. And if it's a crime against humanity, it is actually a sin to not talk about it. So I will probably get some people to get pissed at me in my own profession because I just called it sinning that they won't talk and they won't speak out about what they know. But you're just as guilty as the ones doing the injections that know that it causes problems. Because at the end of the day, when you know what it does, then you essentially have blood on your hands. And myself, others in my office, others in other offices who know this, we bust our ass daily to try to save as many as we possibly can. And I have the unfortunate duty sometimes of telling people, I'm sorry, but you're probably never going to reverse what happened all the way. Now, I'm not going to say the body can't. I'm just saying that from what I've seen, we will do our best to improve quality of life every single day. But there is no quote unquote reversing because it literally damages the brain. Now, the brain has plasticity, and yes, it can redevelop in areas, but what a vaccine does is designed exactly the way it's designed to do exactly what it's supposed to do. They are a population control mechanism. And I'm very, very happy that many out there, even if you have vaccine injured kids, that your children are still alive, because then at least you can have a life with them, even if it's not ideal. But there's a lot out there who have lost kids because sometimes it's the kill shot. And I call it that too. And I know that's not a pretty word, but it's a kill shot. That's why when I hear people say, well, I'm going to just do one and we'll see how it goes. That is Russian roulette with your kid. Would you take a gun out, spin the revolver, and take a chance that you didn't get the bullet in the chamber? No, you wouldn't. So why the hell would you take a chance with something that literally could change your life forever and turn a vibrant child into anything from high functioning but having problems to death? That is literally the chance you take every single time you take the next vaccine. And then people are going to say, what about all the diseases? Well, guess what? What about them? There's no evidence to show they've ever eradicated any disease on the face of the planet. And anyone who says that, tell them to show you the proof. It hasn't happened. Because guess what? This is what I can say about the chiropractic community, about the natural health community, the naturopathic community, etc. This is what I can tell you about it. You know what? You know how many chiropractors are running around out there right now who have never vaccinated their kid, and they have the healthiest families out there? And that's not to brag. Not to brag at all. It's just saying that those in the natural health community that push against big pharma all day long, they know how it works. So therefore, I call you out tonight because we are at less than 1 in 50 kids that are autistic. 1 in 36 might be the number. Dr. Senef calls it that's going to be lower. It doesn't matter what our president does. It doesn't matter what our military does. It doesn't matter what any of the cabal or the deep state does. It doesn't matter if they decide anything tomorrow. We are at a breaking point in civilization, in the fact that if you allow this to continue, we're at 1 in 36 or less. At that point, you will no longer have the numbers in the next 10 to 30 or 40 years to continue on with your civilization. Because guess what? Typically, if you have a very, very intense vaccine injured child, you have sterility and you have a brain that's not able to function. And so down the road, they're going to have to be taken care of for the rest of their life. And we can't depend on them to be able to procreate with another individual and create the next generation. So, if you are a person out there, whether you are a chiropractor, whether you're a naturopath, acupuncture, I don't care, massage therapist, a medical doctor, or you're just a mom or a dad out there who's fighting the fight because of something you've seen or something you've read or whatever it is, doesn't matter. If you know what those things do, just like Dr. Judy said last night, if you know what they do and you stay silent, you're just as guilty as the ones who created the vaccine in the first place. Because you're allowing innocent children to be injured and die. And that's very harsh, but guess what? You're just as guilty as the ones that created it if you sit on your hands and you refuse to talk about it. So go get your microphone, go get your camera, and start running your mouth, because you're behind right now, because we've been doing this for a long period of time, and you better get on your ass, on your feet, and you better start preaching from the rooftop, because we are in a crisis. We are in a civilization crisis. So, I will continue to work my ass off to help these kids, help these parents, and do everything we can to save as many as possible, to improve as many lives as possible. And I will do that until we're done. It's not easy, but I can't imagine what it's like for a parent. So if you're a parent out there who has an injured kid, we'll do everything we can. If you're a parent out there who knows what's going on, doesn't have an injured kid, or if you're a professional out there who knows how to help these kids, you better get up and start doing something about it. Okay? I went long, as I always do, because I can't shut my mouth. So I'm not going to take questions tonight, because I will be honest with you. I am a little tired, so I'm going to go rest and get ready for what's next to come. And I will tell you, it's probably not going to be a lot of sleep, even though I should get sleep. But when words like mutiny are getting thrown around, it's not easy to sleep. And I'm one of those people that cares about my entire country, so I tend to stay up watching what's going on in other cities, hoping that they do well and hoping that we can keep this together. So, ladies and gentlemen, be prepared, stay prepared. Let's continue to help each other. Let's continue to be aware at all times. Let's continue to be on guard at all times, no matter what happens. And if you need help, let me know. If you need information, let me know. I will do my best. We are in this together. No matter who is right or wrong, we all go forward as one. Okay? Dr. Jason Dean, Revolution Network. Have an amazing Thursday night. Take care of yourselves. Be well, stay healthy, and stay vigilant. Stay noble patriots.